About 10 years ago, there was an event,
Gamergate.
now known as Gamergate.
Gamergate 2?
Still don't really know who Anita Sarkeesian is.
Oh, this is that article that wasn't true.
Mired in controversy, rife with disinformation.
Targeted harassment campaign.
Safe to say, Activision Blizzard is the most evil video game company ever.
The game industry is sick, and honestly, I've been sick as well. When I first started out my solo adventure, I never thought about how difficult it would be to show up, put on a happy face in front of a camera, all while feeling like absolute shit. Luckily for me, I do this for fun, and that is why I skipped last week's video. A shame really, because it was the week where I had reached the epic milestone of having over 1,000 subscribers. So thank you very much. It has been such an epic adventure for me thus far, and I'm working on some very exciting stuff, which I'm hoping to be able to tell you about real soon. But now that the year is slowly coming to an end, I'm working hard on figuring out what my plans are for next year. And while I was thinking on, well, my near future, I got to think about the current state of the game industry and games in general. Now, of course, it isn't all doom and gloom, but it's not all that positive either. There are definite things that are slowly getting worse every year, and if we're not careful, it's going to be horrible. Let's do a little bit of context first. The gaming industry is still very young. It started out sometime in the 50s, but it still took years before games like Pong were released in the 70s. And now, 50 years later, we can see two clearly defined categories. The AAA industry on one hand, EA, Ubisoft, Rockstar, Activision, the really big ones. And the second category is, well, basically everyone else. The AAA industry is weird. Because of our capitalistic society, we have allowed certain companies to become so big that they can just buy out most of the competition. Look at Apple or Google or Meta. Of course, AAA companies are not Apple big, but they are big enough that they can just make sure that it's almost impossible for new players to join the club. And this means that all they need to do is to uphold the current status quo. For them, there's no real incentive to create new and original games. Originality is a risk, and new IPs have a massive chance in failing. Why create a new concept when the analytics have proven that you can safely create Far Cry 8 with a 300% return on investment within 2 years. What they can do, however, is look at the other category, everyone else, and see if they have created something new that works and just copy the shit out of it. And this is one of the reasons why many new AAA games force feed you with wokeness and transgender Asian kunari.
You are neither a man nor a woman, then what are you?
Non-binary.
There has been a trend in the more indie game scenes to tell stories about diversity, which has often been done in such a thought out and subtle way that it really works well.
Dear Katie, so much has changed.
Additionally, these indie games often have a smaller, less generic and more niche user base. And these games are specifically targeted towards people who are open to these kinds of stories. But now that the big companies are force-feeding these kinds of stories about diversity to a bigger audience, it has triggered such a massive backlash to the whole industry that even indie game developers are getting cancelled when they try to tell a queer story.
Please tell me you're done. Oh, we're just getting started, dude.
So, thanks guys. But now that we have established the AAA gaming industry, who is everybody else? It's a huge category with lots of sub-categories like indie, AA or solo developers. But it's basically everyone else not big or successful enough to get bought by AAA. And all these smaller gaming studios and publishers are fishing in the same pond. And while that pond seems to get bigger every year, the amount of new gaming studios grows even quicker. The competition is fierce and everybody's project has to really stand out to get picked up by the gaming communities. Which of course almost never happens. And then something really funny happens in our capitalistic society. If there are just 2 or 3 companies providing certain products only competing with each other. It is generally bad for customers. Look at AMD and Intel. Because there is so little competition, the products these companies sell are priced very high and no real innovation needs to be made because there's no incentive to. Many times, others then see the untapped potential of this gold mine and the competition really starts. Prices drop, products become better and more innovative. But it's a gold mine and everybody wants a piece. So now every day thousands of new companies shoot out of the ground, resulting in that the prices of the new products are forced to become so competitive and so low that now the quality starts to decline. The pressure on the company employees rises, and before you know it, you have crunch time, Gamergate, unwanted sexual behavior in the office, racism, and just a toxic environment in general. But it's not only the companies in the industry that are toxic. We, the community, are horrible as well. We shout things like, "that is objectively horrible," which is just a very dumb and very bullish thing to say. We send out death threats to developers who have invested their whole life savings into their passion. We start a riot when a game is postponed, and we absolutely thrash the place when developers or publishers try to raise the price of games to go with the current inflation to be able to pay their employees. Come on! So now what? I don't know. I'm just a messenger, just a very tiny, small-time solo indie game developer, a cockroach. Personally, I hope that the industry is at rock bottom, as toxic and unrewarding as it can get currently, so that it can only get better from here. But I guess we will have to make some changes first. When I first started out in the industry over 10 years ago, it was the general notion that your first game wouldn't be a success. So you had to make sure that you didn't expect a financial success, because that would make you go bankrupt. Heck, even the second or third game you published probably wouldn't be a success. You needed to make bad games to learn how to make good games. But nowadays, once you fail or make a big mistake, it seems like it's an instant game over. Boom, you're cancelled.
Not gonna make it.
But how to learn from your mistakes if it insta-kills you? I think we will need to find a way to become more lenient towards failures and public mistakes. Start accepting failures and allow developers to actually learn from them. A full reset may feel clean and quick, looking at you, Concord, but you also lose so much progress and potential along the way. So let's stop sending death threats to developers who made mistakes. Let's stop objectifying a subjective opinion because it's really stupid. And let's not cancel a pretty good game because it has horned transgender Asians, or because you subjectively think the writing is bad.
To awaken.
Man, 1,000 subscribers in exactly 10 months. I had hoped I would be able to get here at some point, but you guys made it happen so soon. So many thanks to all of you, and I hope to see you again next week.
knees to the